So the title deed will remain in the seller's name until date of registration. And on date of registration, that changes. And within a few days from there, you get delivery of the title deed from the deeds office.
We're available up until the registration process. Afterwards, if you have questions on a future purchase or the current one, you make contact with your bond consultant. They are there. We're not dealing with numbers at this point.
Please service your bond. Your bond still needs to be paid because otherwise it falls into arrear on the initial amount for the stand that was paid out, and that would be a problem for you then at a later stage.
Hey Red Circle family, welcome back to Brick by Brick, your property power purpose podcast right here on Red Circle Television. This is episode 6 of the Home Buyers series, our very last episode. I'm so sad.
Oh, very sad.
We've come a long way, Genre.
So far, yes.
But it's been a good one. So I'm Dudu, your executive host, and
I'm Genre from Green Door Home Loans. And so far, we've taken you all the way from pre-approval, before even looking for a house, through the application process, through getting that approval, some intricate details in between, and now we're finally at the end, the more legal side, right?
Yes, more. Oh, and then we also talked about debt. We spoke about that. We went through all of the different offerings at the bank as well.
We did.
And I hope everybody is caught up on all of the episodes since this is the final one.
Yeah.
Let's hope they're caught up.
Or you can start here and go back.
And go back, yes. Go back to the first episode. All right. So on today's episode, we are going to be discussing attorney fees and registration. So normally this comes afterwards. Once you've put in your offer to purchase, it's been accepted at the bank, and you have 110% from the bank? Or 100?
Yeah, if you're a first-time home buyer, yes, we can do that.
Yes, I know. Green Door Home Loans can make anything possible. Anything can happen when it comes to Green Door. So yes, so once that has been sorted, you have been approved. Now the attorneys come into the game.
Yes.
Right?
That's
the
it.
Attorneys come in, and this process, I think, sometimes can be a little bit complicated.
Yeah.
And if you don't have enough information, it can take you by surprise. I think we mentioned that in some previous episodes as well. And I think I shared also that with my first buying experience, I didn't know a lot about the attorney fee side of things.
Yeah.
So that registration process and having to pay some of those fees.
Yeah.
So if you're a first-time home buyer, this one's going to be very, very important for you.
100%, right? And that's why we brought an expert in as well
Yes,
today.
yes.
To make sure we're all fully equipped, right,
That's
before
correct.
going on this journey.
Mm-hmm. Hannelie, welcome to Brick by Brick. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your firm, and maybe take us through a little bit about what is a conveyancing attorney.
Okay, so our firm is privileged to be 3 years old this year.
Lovely.
So
Happy anniversary.
Thank you so much. We're Fuchs Roux attorneys. We consist of about 3 directors, myself, Tobile Kornu, and Jackson Masangu. We do mostly conveyancing. 90% of our firm consists of conveyancing. We're on all the bank panels. My speciality is, in actual fact, developments, because that's my background that I come from. So I can do everything, but yeah, I would be very happy just to do developments. But unfortunately, you need to do all the other extras as well.
That's right.
So yeah, the process can be quite daunting, but I think if you've got a reliable conveyancer that can lead you through the process, it can be good for you. So a conveyancer is somebody that's got an added examination that they write, that you get then admitted as a conveyancer, and then it's mostly for property transactions.
Sure.
Hand in hand with that is obviously to be a notary as well, because then you can do all the notarial side of the process as well, but that's not compulsory. So, but if you want to do transfers and all the bank registrations, cancellations, you need to be a conveyancer.
Okay. And you work alongside Green Door as well.
Yes, for many of those 30 years, we've worked alongside them. Yeah.
And many of our 20 years.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
good. No, that's really good. All right. So, guys, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We need to always remind everybody. Genre.
Hit the notification bells. They're up to date. I mean, this is the last episode, but there's more content coming your way.
Yes. And who knows? Green Door Home Loans might even come back for more episodes later on, right? So make sure that you're subscribed to this channel, guys, and follow all of our social media pages. Links are in the description box down below. So make sure you're there. All right, Hannelie. Let's get right to it. So once the offer to purchase gets to your office, right? So is it legally binding? Now, I've signed, the owners have signed. Is there a way out of that offer to purchase at all? So give us some of that legal, insight.
The legal way to get out of an offer to purchase once it's been signed is if the suspensive conditions are not met, such as getting your bond approved. That's one of the suspensive conditions, but there can be several other suspensive conditions. But that's, for purposes here of, I think that's the most important suspensive condition to get a bank approval. Once that's been approved, then the process can start running.
Is there any way, for instance, if I have some trouble maybe coming up with some financing, right? Because obviously that is included in this process. Is there any way that the offer to purchase can be either annulled, or does there need to be a specific clause in it that would allow then the buyer to get out of that offer?
Yeah, that specific clause in the suspensive condition normally reads that if you cannot meet that condition, then it's as if it never existed, that contract. So then there's no extra cost for you. It's not binding. It's just as if it never existed. Some of the other conditions, normal conditions, that is something else. But the only way to get out of it straight out is with a suspensive condition not being met.
I do know of a few property investors and buyers who often, sometimes after you've invested in so many properties and you're still waiting, for instance, to raise the capital for the additional properties that you want to purchase, at times they can place in the contract itself that it is subject to raising funds, for instance, or if I'm still selling another property, it is subject to the sale of that property. So that is allowed.
That's allowed, and that will be part of your suspensive conditions, because if you're not able to raise the full purchase price, either by selling a previous property or a bond approval or whatever other source you get the funding from, that should be in the suspensive conditions, because that will make you not be able to fulfill the contractual obligations.
And in that process, what is possible? Can they have tenants in that home in the meantime while this process is ongoing? Or can they sell the property as well while it's ongoing in this process?
Yes and no. So
tell us why. Give us the details.
Legally, the legislation says that it must be a right to a property or a vested right. So if you've got a right in terms of offer to purchase the property, then you can place tenants there. You can resell the property even, but it should be then simultaneously or after the first registration.
I see.
And unless there's a condition in the contract that prohibits that very specifically, then you will not be able to do that.
That's a nice strategy. I kind of like that.
Did you asking all the right questions?
Such a nice strategy. Well, as a property investor, I think you're always looking for those little tricks, right? And maybe not so much tricks, but strategies. But legally, obviously, always has to be legal. You can't go and sell people's house that you don't legally have the right to.
That's cool.
But of course, there are always these different strategies that I think property investors will implement throughout their journey as well. It's nice to share some of those strategies. All right. So this process, how long does it take, more or less? So now that we've come, the bond has been granted, we're going through this registration process. How long are we expected to wait before that property is in my name?
Well, that can be a difficult question. So if you look at a normal, straightforward transaction with no complications or any issues arising throughout the transaction. It can take 6 to 9 weeks, more or less. Most of the deeds officers are very good at the moment. They rush through the process on their side, but to prepare everything, get property rights clearances, get all the documentation signed, guarantees issued between the parties, all those small detail, which is actually very, very important. Get homeowners association certificates and etc. That will normally take you 6 to 9 weeks.
Okay.
If you do have complications such as a title deed that gets lost or anybody passing away during that time, obviously then you extend your period of time for registration.
As a first-time home buyer, for me it felt a little long. I don't know. I felt like I want to own this house today, tomorrow. So it felt a little bit long, but I think it's necessary for it to take some time so that you sort of have crossed all your T's, dotted all your I's, and everything is in order.
We like to explain it to clients normally that it's like a comrades. You start at one point and then you see the finish line, and sometimes you see, oh, here's a hill coming and I still need to get over that. But until you get to the finish line, it's not a fast one. But if you guide a client through it, especially a first-time home buyer, for us it's a normal day-to-day job, but for them it's a very daunting thing. So to guide them through that comrades race is the actual point where you want to get to make it a joyful experience for them as well.
And I mean, there's a lot of things that can go wrong during this time, right? I mean, we also see some not finishing the registration part, falling out. So I think an important thing for the viewers to know is as well, what would be the buyer's responsibility during this period of registration? I know we educate them from our side as well, but we want to hear it from you as well.
The buyer's responsibility. Well, the buyer, firstly, in terms of the agreement, they need to source their finances. If it's through bond approval, they need to give their cooperation, and timeously, as soon as the OTP has been signed, give all the documentation to Green Door so that they can start with the approval. Once it's approved, they need to then come and sign the documentation as soon as it's ready and make themselves available for that. Transfer costs that needs to be paid, they need to pay that timeously so that we can pay all the expenses and transfer duty, etc. And just give their cooperation for the rest. But the responsibilities from the purchaser side is less than the seller. So, but they must just make themselves available. And I don't know, you've touched on it previously. And please do not gain any further debt after approval, please, because that's one of the issues that arise.
Buy a car in the process.
Wait, if you want to do that.
Well, I want a car to match my new house, so quickly go grab one. So that can also derail the process, of course.
Then the bank can withdraw the approval and then you sit with the situation because then the suspensive condition have been met already. So then you've got a legal binding contract. To get out of that contract then, it's going to be a complicated and costly process.
Stick to the plan.
Exactly.
Stick to the plan, stick to the process. Don't rush into anything else. Wait until you have that name, that title deed with your name on it.
That's it.
No, great stuff. Let's talk costs, right? Yeah, because I think for me, my first experience, I shared this in the previous episode, and then we also touched on it as well with Tabatso in our episode 3, I think it was, episode 3.
Yeah.
And it's the costs, right? That can sort of take you by surprise a little bit. If you're not prepared, if you haven't been prepared by your bond originator or even your real estate agent in that process, you can be taken by surprise when it comes to the costs that you have to pay. So maybe give us an idea. What are the different costs that we should be looking at as a first-time home buyer? Of course, this would be a new experience. So what are the different costs they should be expecting?
Well, cost is the broad term we use. That can be broke down, for bond registration costs. That would be with the bond attorney. So you can have an instance where it's the same attorney or different attorneys. So you'll have bond registration costs on the one hand and then transfer registration costs on the other hand.
Okay.
The transfer costs will include your transfer duty. which is a tax that you pay to SARS in order to obtain your transfer duty receipt, which is part of your documentation that needs to be lodged. And that is a prescribed fee from SARS side. It's based on legislation that every year by the end of February, normally they increase the tariff or they announce that it remains the same. Okay. So that is on different sliding scales. But yeah, it's bond cost on the one hand, transfer costs, which include your transfer duty. Your transfer costs consist of the fees and all your electronic fees, your deeds office fees for lodgement with the deeds office, your rates clearance certificate fee, your homeowners insurance or homeowners rates fees, and on your bond side, the insurance fees for if you're buying in a sectional title.
I see.
But to pay the rates per se, to get the clearance certificate, that is a responsibility of the seller. And people sometimes get that confused.
Okay, so what are we looking at more or less in terms of numbers? Or does it differ according to the property that you're purchasing?
Yeah, that's based on either the bond amount or the purchase price. And that is prescribed by the Legal Practice Council. So every year we get the prescribed fees. You can charge above those fees, but then it's overreaching. So that is negotiable in some instances, but that is a prescribed fee. And that's working on the specific guidelines. And with SARS, we work on the tables that SARS issue from their side. And that can vary because there's it varies on different amounts and between certain amounts. So yeah, it's best to ask your bond originator, your real estate agent, to give you a bit of a breakdown. They normally have cost tables or a calculator that they can work to give you a guideline, because that can differ, yes, from attorney to attorney, because there are some of the points like postages and petties and etc. that can differ. Not a lot, but it can differ. So that can make a difference. And then obviously if your attorney is registered for VAT or not, that sometimes do make a difference, because on the fees then there's a VAT amount payable as well.
So yes, we usually guide our clients to say, go have a look on our website. We've got 5 different calculators that they can use beforehand, like a semi-qualification when you put your income and expenses in. And then a very important one is the bond and transfer cost table that gets updated with these yearly, or whenever there's an update, it just also gets updated. And that will give you a rough estimate, a very close estimate
to what you should expect.
You should expect. And then you can start budgeting for that, right? Because even though you are a first-time home buyer, it's not guaranteed that you will get the cost included, right? It depends on your credit profile and your affordability as well. So we always advise them to go have a look. I mean, I'm sure we can put the link in the comments as well for people to go and have a look at the calculator, and then work it out from there.
So if the costs are included, then the buyer shouldn't expect to pay anything at all, or are there still certain fees that they should expect to pay?
That would depend on what's the amount that the bank
is willing to
grant them.
Right.
Yes. So, and then we can do a calculation based on that.
I see.
And then you can just always see how you can work it. The only problem that we normally have with first-time buyers, if it's included, is your transfer duty is an expense that you need to pay up front.
I see.
But there's always some kind of an arrangement that you can make, like bridging finance or anything, because that's normally their first question is, how am I going to pay this if it's included and only on registration get paid out by the bank? But that's an obstacle that can definitely, or those that hill in the comrades.
Yes.
Definitely one of those that you can manage.
Right. Okay. But as long as you're informed, I think then it should be okay. As long as you have a great bond originator or real estate agent that can take you through, then you will always be prepared. There shouldn't be any surprises at all.
That's true.
Yeah. And just have a little bit of money just in case somewhere, just in case. No, that's good. Registration of the property. Now, if you're in a bond with a bank, and the bank holds the title deed, correct? Is the title deed in your name at that point, or is it still waiting for the full payment of the bond in order for you to have the title deed in your name? How does that work out?
So the title deed will remain in the seller's name until date of registration. And on date of registration, that changes and within a few days from there, you get delivery of the title deed from the deeds office. So that's being sent back to the transferring attorney, and the bond deed that's been registered simultaneously will be sent to the bond attorney. You will, as a purchaser, just obtain a copy of the title deed, because the original title deed and the original bond deed as security documentation are sent to the bank, and that's held by the bank until you've paid up your bond. The bond gets cancelled at that stage then, formally cancelled in the deeds office, because people understand that when it's paid up, it's done. It's once it's paid up, you can have your celebration, and then you contact the bank or attorney, if you know an attorney that's on the cancellation panels, and you request from them to formally cancel it in the deeds office. And when that title deed comes back from the deeds office at that stage, then you get to put it in your safe at home.
Okay. Yes. Nice. Yeah, that's a nice one. That's a good one. I don't think everyone always understands that is how it works, right? Especially if you're a first-time home buyer. I think sometimes you can expect that you're going to get your title deed and you're going to be able to show everybody, right? So there is that waiting period, of course, up until such time that bond has been paid up. Then you can have it in your name, and
it will be available for you to have a copy of that.
Right.
So it's already in your name, but have it bond free. I think that's the ultimate goal everybody is working towards.
Everyone's goal. Exactly. Should we get through some Q&As?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do that. Okay. Hannelie, some few questions, right, that we hope our viewers are going to find relevant for you. And if you want to add to this, please do. If you have, of course, you have so much experience. So if you have clients who have typical questions that they ask, please help us with those, so that perhaps somebody is at home watching and is thinking it and we haven't asked it, then maybe you will be able to answer to that. All right. So the first question. So what happens if a buyer can't pay the fees after approval? What happens in that process? I think we touched a little bit on this, but perhaps in a little bit more detail. What happens if now I have an issue, cannot pay? What's the next step?
Well, the first answer would be normally that transaction would not be able to proceed.
To continue.
But everybody in this process goal is to get to the in line and finish the transaction. So we often have situations where we need to then start making plans. And that includes various options. But obviously all of that needs to be approved by the bank, because that was the basis on which the bank granted the loan.
Sure.
And if you now need to make a loan from family, or there's any other arrangements in place, then we need to notify the bank if you're the bond attorney. But there are ways to get over that hill.
Yes.
But first and foremost, you will have a problem. Sometimes if you've got a difficult seller, or just somebody that just wants to sell the property and want to keep you to the agreement, then it will be a problem, unfortunately.
So tell us a little bit about that. So if they're going to keep you to the agreement, what are some of the options that the buyer would have in that instance, and they're still not able to meet their end of the bargain?
In terms of the breach clause in an offer to purchase, they will give you notice and tell you that you didn't adhere to the fact that you had to pay costs. It was stipulated as such in the offer to purchase. We place you on terms to achieve the clause and pay the costs within 7 or 14 days. That differs from offer to purchase to offer to purchase. And then on the day 7, if you didn't manage to pay, then the options are whatever stipulated in that clause. That would be cancellation from the seller's side, forcing specific performance, and that would be you must proceed to register, which will be impossible, and they can claim damages from you. And that might include any damages suffered by the seller, wasted costs by the bond attorney and the transferring attorney, and agent's commission, because agent's commission is deemed earned on date of the suspensive conditions being met, payable on registration. So by then, the estate agent earned their commission as well, and that will be part of the damage claim that you can suffer. So that's why it's very important that you do know what is the cost involved, and that you know exactly what is what's expected of you before you enter into an agreement.
Right. And so regardless of perhaps if I don't know, in some instances, you can have a situation that is out of your control, right? And now you have to use those funds to respond to that. Is there any way that can be explained? Or a contract is a contract, the legal law is the law, and you're just going to have to pay up?
Yeah, unfortunately, that is the situation. But on the bank side, the bank will consider that. Because if that touches on your affordability, then the bank must withdraw from that bond. And in the instruction that the bank sent to the attorneys, they clearly state that based on something like affordability, etc., they can withdraw from the bond. So from the bank side, they will withdraw then if it really affects the affordability of that purchaser. But again, on the OTP side, the condition has been met.
Yeah, that's right.
So in terms of the agreement, you will need to sit down and have a conversation with a transferring attorney and see how that can be resolved, and preferably without entering into any litigation process, because that's a costly, tedious process.
Of course.
Yeah. So sometimes you will be able to get to settle something like affordability issue, or you need to move due to your work, or one of the who stands surety for you falls away, or there's a amount of little issues. Thank you, John Ray.
That can happen.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's important to be sure.
That's right.
And of course, like, these are anomalies. I don't think it's something we deal with very
not
often.
Common.
No. But it is good to be aware of these things as a first-time buyer. But once again, with the correct guidance, someone that's there from the beginning with you, guiding you through this process, you shouldn't be worried about all the legal things that happen.
You shouldn't necessarily have to end up paying damages and such.
That's it.
Right.
That's absolutely worst case scenario where you want to end up.
I can imagine.
Yes.
Okay. So at Red Circle, we have a fantastic new development that's coming up. We're going to elaborate more on that and share a little bit more on that on later episodes. But one of the questions that I wanted to ask here was about buying off plan for new developments. So what is the process when it comes to that? Is it the same? Are there some differences? What should the buyer be expecting in that purchasing process?
Well, mostly there and it's not always the case, but mostly you will not be liable to pay transfer duty and or transfer costs, because normally that's included. But that differs from developer to developer. Some developers say we'll pay the transfer costs because they normally registered for VAT. So then it will be a VAT transaction. So the VAT will be payable to SARS by the developer. So normally they would say, okay, I will pay the transfer costs, but depending on how the development is structured, they'll pay the bond costs as well. But if you, for instance, buy a stand with a building package, then one person will build a property for $1 million, for instance, and the second person will buy that stand and want to erect a dwelling of 2 million. So then it makes quite a difference in the cost. So for that reason, the developers would quite often say, we'll pay the transfer costs, including the transfer duty or VAT, but the bond cost is for the purchaser's account. So there you also need to just make sure what is it that you're signing, what costs in terms of the agreement would be your costs as a purchaser. And the type of loan that, if it's a full title development where you buy a stand and then they need to build a house for you, then that would normally be a building loan. So that would be quite different from a normal residential loan, because on that kind of bond, the bank will say, as a bank, I will pay, say, R1 million for the stand on date of registration. But it's a vacant stand, so that's what we will pay. The rest of the amount they will keep on retention. And then while the builders are busy building, there's certain stages where they will pay out funds based on certain criteria until where you get to a point where you finally have a finished product with an occupation certificate, and on date of either issuing the occupation certificate or signing the snag list or whatever is the criteria in terms of the agreement, that will be the last payment. And that differs from bank to bank as well, but those payments will be in stages. But what is very important, and I think sometimes people don't realize, in the meantime, while you're building, please service your bond. Your bond still needs to be paid because otherwise it falls into arrear on the initial amount for the stand that was paid out. And that would be a problem for you then at a later stage. So just make sure that you know what you're signing and make sure what's in the offer to purchase and ask questions.
Exactly.
Ask questions.
Right. Ask as many questions as possible.
Exactly.
Are they able to come back to you as well, Jandre, as the bond originator in this instance, and perhaps gain a little bit more in terms of information for if it's a first-time home buyer, right? Yeah. And they're going through this process, and perhaps there are certain things that they're not fully clear on. Are you guys still available? Is Green Door still available to guide them through?
Definitely. I think one of the things that we pride ourselves in is that you get a dedicated bond consultant or home loan specialist. And the reason why we've grown so much in the last few years is because people keep coming back to that same bond consultant, you know. So yes, we're available up until the registration process. Afterwards, if you have questions on a future purchase or the current one, you make contact with your bond consultant. They are there. We're not dealing with numbers at this point. So yes, it's definitely possible to get in touch. That's going to be your person, your go-to person.
Yeah. And that's so great. I love that so much. So you're not abandoned.
No, definitely
So
not.
you can still come back. You can still ask questions. And I'm sure even the attorneys are available throughout as well if the purchaser has any further questions or needs clarity on, certain parts of the process.
Definitely. We, however, are not allowed to contact the bank afterwards with your drawdowns that you pay, etc., which is something we wish we could do because it's a daunting process for some people. But normally you've got a consultant at the bank as well that's able to help you. Green Door can assist you on that. And if there's any questions, our door's always open. We've got a policy that if you're a client once, you're a client for life. And even if it's something unrelated, you've got my number, you can call me.
It should never be a lonely road.
Exactly.
That
our
comrade marathon, you have people that you can run it with.
That's true. And just stop for a water point at some stage.
No, good one. Jandre, I just wanted to know, in terms of the first-time home buyer, buying off plan and buying a new development, would you perhaps suggest that be a strategy or an option that they look at, considering that, with some developments, they include certain costs in the purchase? Would that be perhaps a nice strategy for somebody that is buying for the first time?
To buy straight from the developer?
Yes, to buy off plan for the new developments, especially when it includes, your transfer duties and your registration.
Definitely, that would be the best way to go. Usually as well, there's not then an agent's commission as well, So I would say if you can buy straight from the developer, that would be the best way to go forward.
I think sometimes there's a little bit of a hesitancy when it comes to buying off plan when people are not clear on the benefits of it, right? And I always say that buying off plan is very beneficial, especially for first-time home buyers. And when you come in early, so when you buy the first phase, for instance, of the development, that also allows you for some capital appreciation, right, as the development continues. So that makes for a fantastic investment. Getting in very early, buying in that first phase, and normally it includes some of the fees that you mentioned as well. And it takes some of the load off as well. So I think that maybe is something to consider, especially for first-time home buyers.
Yeah, if you've got the opportunity, I feel like a lot of the time that gets picked up first, you know.
Right.
A lot of the people jump on that opportunity. So yes, if you do have the opportunity, definitely.
Okay. No, fantastic. So I think that's it from my side in terms of the questions. Is there anything else maybe that you might want to advise on or respond to? Any common themes that you come about in your work?
Educate yourself as much as possible on property, be that a first-time buyer or a second-time buyer, because it's quite a process, and it's a huge investment that you're making. Some of the banks do offer education programs, and people sometimes frown upon it, but they're very good programs, and it's very good and beneficial, especially for younger people. That's not something that they're familiar with. So do proper training, education programs from banks. We be very careful of looking at everything that's on ChatGPT or on internet or anything. Ask a professional and get the necessary education, and buy something that you know is something that you will be able to use and make a profit out of, and that's an investment for you. But on the process as well, educate yourself as much as possible, and on the financial processes.
Yeah, and I think we've covered a lot of that in this series, from episode 1, where we explained what a bond originator is, and what they're able to do for, you know, the buyers or even the investors themselves, up until to this episode. So it's true, education is of paramount. I think, you know, it's extremely important to understand what you're getting yourself into. And I think you've mentioned this quite a few times as well, Jean-Ray. Buying property is a massive investment. And the more you know, the more information you have access to, the better it is. And that's why this podcast is also here, right? We're here to provide all of that information, all of the expert insight, and hopefully our audience is going to find some benefit from that as well.
I feel definitely, yes. And I'm excited to see where this goes. Like, we started from the beginning, the very beginning, right? Up until registration. And it feels like there's so much more that we can share. So, I mean, we'll see how many people interact and maybe ask us more in-depth questions.
Yes, ask questions.
That's what we want, you know.
Red Circle family,
we're opening the
here.
doors.
Yes, we're here to answer to all the questions. If ever maybe you've come across, you know, certain scenarios, maybe it's family members, maybe it's friends, and you're not entirely sure of, you know, what those processes mean, we're here to answer all of those questions. And I'm bringing you the best of the best, right, in the country. You have access to anybody from, you know, from the bond originators at Green Door Home Loans, the finance specialists as well, the attorneys, Sulette, you know, who came and spoke to us about, you know, debt counseling and so on. I think that is such a critical part of this process as well. She's available, so you can get in touch with her as well, and, you know, make sure that this process is not a tedious one, or is not a difficult one, right? You have people who are there to assist.
100%.
Make use of them.
Yeah,
I'm so sad this is our last episode for this series.
Yeah, we should have had a bottle of champagne.
We should have, maybe off camera. Off camera, we can pop some champagne. Have a little bit of a celebration. I think this has been such a fantastic journey.
Yes.
I really, really hope, and in any way, that was the goal, that, you know, our audience will get as much information as they possibly can.
And thank you for including us.
And thank you for accepting to be part of this series as well.
We've been talking about it. Yes. It's great to see it come to life. And we're very, very proud to be part of this educational part of it, right? We're not just here to help people get homes, all of us. We're here to spread the knowledge, you know.
Yes.
So
education, that is key, as you mentioned. Definitely. It's so key. So I'm so sad that this is the end. So no, Green Door, you have to come back. We have to come back. I think we need to figure out how we can bring you back for another series.
Right. We're here. You know where to find us.
More episodes from Green Door. No, thank you so much. Thank you for bringing us, you know, the best that you have, and everybody that you work with at Green Door Home Loans. We really, really appreciate that on this podcast. Really, we do.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And for our first series, this has been, I think, so successful, I think.
Well
It
done.
has really been so successful. And thank you, Hannelie. Thank you also for being here. So for the next series that we will be bringing on Brick by Brick, we are going to be talking about the financial journey, right? So we are inviting Imvelo Wealth to come and share on, the psychology of money, to share on, different areas when it involves the importance of handling your finances when you're purchasing a home, because it is a huge investment. It can have a lot of roadblocks financially as well. So it's extremely important to always have access to that advice, how to handle your expenses, how to deal with some of the potential debt that you might have, how to have a better relationship with money, with the finances that you have. Paying a bond over a certain period of time can come with some challenges. And if you don't have your portfolio well organized, right, by a financial advisor, it can become a bit of a struggle, and it can present a few challenges. So Imvelo Wealth will be coming on, and we will be just, breaking it down for you, talking about the type of relationships you should be having with your finances and setting your expenses in a way that you're able to meet your obligations when it comes to your bond. Oh, I'm so sad that this is the end. I'm literally going to cry. But Red Circle family, thank you for joining us for this series. It has been an incredible journey. And we really, really hope that your home buying experience is going to be exceptionally good after watching all 6 episodes. And we are always available. The channel is not going anywhere, so make sure that you are still subscribed. We are bringing you more information. We're bringing you more professionals, more insights, and we're going to get deeper into the property development cycle, right? And everyone that's involved in that cycle, in that journey. And we will be telling you a little bit more about the projects that we have coming up as well at Red Circle. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Subscribe, hit that notification bell. Follow Green Door on all of their social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram. What else? You're not on TikTok?
No, not yet. But I mean, maybe after that dance we did, we should add one.
Please get on TikTok. Yes, check out our TikTok on Red Circle Television. That's the TikTok that we have. We do a little bit of, TikToking in there as well. And Hannelie, where can they find you if they're looking for you as well?
They can find us on our website. It's fuchsroux.co.za, or on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook.
Okay, we'll have the links in the description as well, so that makes it easier. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Hannelie. Thank you, Green Door.
Thank you. Now go and secure your property.
Yes,
do that.
Get those keys, guys. All right, thank you, guys. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.